Hi guys, you're tuning into a special edition of the Made to Build podcast powered by the HIA. We're down here at Melbourne in the National Conference. Let's get into it.
At the HIA conference, we always talk about serious things. We talk about serious specifications. We talk about the vision of the industry. We talk about advocacy. We talk about so many things that are really critical to builders.
Yes.
Now we've got one more thing that we have to cover.
Oh, I agree. It's quite a big one. Where do we even start, Richard?
Where do we
Because he's a TV host, a radio host, wine connoisseur. He's been on SAS Australia, and apparently he was a bricky labourer at one point in his life.
Merrick Watts, welcome to Made to Build.
Great to be here. Thank you very much. Yes, your audience is probably as surprised as I am that I'm on this podcast. So
Yeah. So what do you know about
everybody?
building?
Not very much, because I'm not very good at it. The reason why I got into comedy is because I was not very good at
You're
building.
crap at building.
That's true. It's true.
I've got to say, if you were a brickies labourer and you were walking onto my site,
Yep.
I'd be terrified. I'd be worried about that. Is that terror justified?
Why? And why'd you be terrified? My physical physique,
Does he
which is
make-
obviously
Does he make
a
you nervous
weapon.
with his
You're a
good
handsome
looks?
individual,
I am.
but I'm more worried about what the outcome of the job would be. What would happen?
Oh, look, I'd be worried about the quality control if I was on the site, to be honest. But look, when I was a builder's labourer, I was pretty much straight out of high school and I was not really sure what I wanted to do. But I started doing stand-up comedy.
Yep.
And to supplement the lack of money that you get in the first 4 years at least of doing stand-up comedy, I started working as a builder's labourer for right across Melbourne. And I discovered very quickly that I had no skills and that I was lazy and that I was useless. So I tried to pivot very quickly into show business where there's obviously a safety net for people like me.
So you look at yourself, you go, I'm lazy, I'm useless, I'm
Yeah.
just going to go be a comedian.
Yeah, it's show business. That's where we all go.
So
That's where we all go.
does that summarise the show business in a nutshell?
Yeah, absolutely. We're full of show business is full of people who can't do real things. That's why we do show business. Like if we had skills and a great mindset, then we would not be where we are. It's because we've failed at everything else that we've found the safety net of entertainment.
Is this strength through failure? Is that what you're saying?
No, it's lack of options is what it is. It's true. Like I often say, it's because people say to me, why'd you do comedy? I go, because I was terrible at everything else. So I just got into comedy, and now, comedy has opened up, strangely enough, show business, entertainment and comedy has opened up a plethora of doors for me and opportunities for me, right through my life.
What are some of the weirdest doors that it's opened up for you?
That's a good question. I suppose probably what I'm doing now, which is I'm a co-founder of a drinks company called Posca Hydrate, and Posca is Posca, in case you're wondering what it is. You're listening. Posca Hydrate is an electrolytes supplementary drink. So it's based on an ancient Roman formula, and it contains electrolytes, and it's got vinegar in it, like red wine vinegar. It's incredibly good for you. But I actually physically invented it.
Yeah.
During lockdown 4 years ago, and now it's...
Is that why you have this gladiator physique?
Yes, it came with the job. It's like chicken and the egg. What came first, the physique or the drink? But that's, with no doubt, I mean, obviously we're in thousands of retailers across the country now, and it's doing really well, and there's a board, and there's a very structured company and investors and stuff behind us, but it's a result of, I suppose, lessons that I've learned from entertainment, which is, continued resilience, self-belief, all these things that I've learned from time, and also too just, I suppose, curiosity, without doubt. Curiosity and that desire to see things and learn things helped me to formulate Posca.
Mate, I need to know, how did you go about recrafting what someone in the Roman Empire did?
Yeah, very slowly is what I did. I actually looked at how people had made kombucha, and
Okay.
I was at home and I was like, it's not like kombucha, it's different, but I was like, okay. I looked at how people had done it in their kitchen benches, and I did that during lockdown because I couldn't stand lockdown because I'm very high energy, and I need a lot of things to do. I always need to be occupied. So I looked at what they did. I just kind of followed what they did and formulated at home. And then as soon as lockdowns had finished, I went to formulators and did some trials, and they were incredibly encouraging. And then I did some more tests and trials on it and reformulated again. And once we started getting some of the data and the results back on the clinical trials and the clinical parts of the drink, I was absolutely convinced by it, and that's when I formed up a company, when got partners and a CEO, and we formed a company. But it started really just with an inquisitive nature about Roman history.
So you started at being good at nothing,
Yep.
admittedly,
Yep.
to going to the point where you're like, okay, I'm going to recreate this drink.
Yep.
Gone all mad scientist
Yes.
in COVID.
Yes.
Now, did you test this drink as you were going through it?
Yes, I did. It was awful at the start. I'm not going to lie. Now
Did you
it's
end
brilliant.
up on the toilet?
No, it never made me sick.
No?
But there was a few times when I just went, "Oh my god, that's rough. That is rough to
So
drink."
what does it taste like now?
Now it tastes like it's tangy and it's got a kind of sweet sour composition to it, and it's effervescent, so it's fizzy, and it's in a can, and it's just, it tastes like nothing else. There's nothing like Posca Hydrate anywhere in the world. It's entirely unique.
So
And
in a
I'm
nutshell,
very-
why would I buy it?
where would you buy it?
No, why would I buy
Why
it?
would you buy it? Because it'll make you feel great. Posca is for, I call it the fizz that fixes you. So like, if you're a bit hungover, it's awesome. If you're dehydrated, it's amazing because it does have the salts and electrolytes in it. But it tastes great, and you just literally feel better after drinking it because it's good for you. All natural, nothing artificial in it. So yeah, it's great. I love it. So next.
So the journey that you've been on with developing this and also life journey. When we were talking off air earlier, a little bit earlier, you talked about resilience and some of the things that you're touching on now, like a natural curiosity, a natural desire to learn, lots of energy to put into things, and that desire to be constantly evolving, growing, that sort of thing. There are some really strong parallels between exactly that and what a lot of builders have to do in order to be successful.
Yes.
So in your experience, what are the things that have really grown that resilience for you? I imagine it would have been a whole mixture of challenges and other things where things have gone right.
Yep. Self-belief is good, but self-belief will only take you so far in the resilience. I think you definitely need that as part of the resilience, but I think there's a difference between a friend of mine who is an ex-SAS operator often talks to me about the difference between resilience and grit.
Yep.
And grit is when you combine resilience with hard work, right?
Yep.
You just do hard work and you don't complain about it. But I think it's also it's a mental shift of not focusing on the negatives, not focusing on the pain or the discomfort of it, if anything, embracing the pain and the discomfort, because that's growth.
Almost living with.
That's why they call it growing pains. If you're in pain, it could mean that you are actually in a growth phase.
Yep.
So if you look at it like that, things are difficult, things are going to be hard. But if you go, well, hang on a second, if they are hard and they are difficult, but I'm still moving forward, then I'm actually growing.
Yep.
And for me, everything is about growth. Everything I do is about growth. I'm constantly upskilling myself. I'm always looking for new opportunities, new things to learn, new skills to attain, new qualifications, whatever it is. I'm constantly looking for that because it's a growth format and I've got a growth mindset.
So so if you're talking about, and every stage in life, I imagine we go through life as human beings and we sort of go from one stage to the next, growing more and more. What are the things that, without delving too deep, but what are the things that you're focusing on now in terms of that growth?
I always look to make sure that I've got at least one thing a year that is uncomfortable or difficult that I can go and do, right? The Japanese, I think the word is misogi, which is it's like an annual pilgrimage or something that you do that is a growth thing that you do each year, right? Okay. And a lot of ex-military people do this. You find something difficult and you go and accomplish it and get it done. Now that could be getting some qualifications, studying, which is difficult. One of the hardest things I've ever done is studying for wine qualifications. It is brutal. You'd think it's easy to just drink wine. It's so hard. The other thing I did is I studied at the Australian Institute of Company Directors, and I found that punishing. That was one of the hardest things I've ever done in my life.
Yep.
And I do physical things. So this year I'm doing a marathon in 4 weeks in South Africa, and I'm coming off 2 weeks of training. Good one. And then in October I'm going to Kokoda, and I'll complete Kokoda in October as well. That's awesome. That's actually 2 things in 1 year.
Yeah.
But I always make sure I've got one difficult thing, either mental or physical or spiritual, that I accomplish each year.
So it's a 42K, this is in South Africa, so it's a 42K run.
Yep.
And I imagine it won't be chilly over there, it'll be hot, it'll be fairly warm weather.
I've got no idea, I've never been there.
So I can tell you're really prepared.
Where is it? Where's South Africa? It's past Dubbo, isn't it? It's not.
Yeah,
How-
it is. You know, you're
how far
right on
past
track there,
Dubbo?
man. It's just go to Dubbo, you'll be fine.
Yeah.
And
Dubbo,
the
then
locals in the
turn
pub
left,
will
keep
tell you where to
driving.
go from there.
Yeah. The guy was telling me, he said, Dubbo, turn left. And I was like, right, well, how can that be? I'm not an idiot.
So why'd you pick South Africa out of everywhere in the world?
It's actually for a friend of mine, Carrie Bickmore's got a charity that she's got Carrie's Bennies for brain cancer.
Yes.
And it's a great charity, and she asked me to come with her and a group of other people to go and raise money. It's a fundraiser.
Yeah.
And I was like, I love it because you can challenge yourself, but also, and that's, it's very much for yourself. It's a selfish thing, but the return is that you are offering benefit to other people and trying to find a cure for brain cancer. So when she asked me doing it, I was like, yeah, I'm straight away, yeah. And I've run one marathon before on the Gold Coast a couple of years ago, and it was a great achievement. But I thought, I'll never run another one. I don't need to because I've done that. But then when this opportunity came up, I thought, yep, I'll do that. I'll give it a crack, give it a go. And I like doing things that if I can combine, it's the same thing with the Kokoda track. I'm doing that for the Commando Welfare Trust. If I can do something that is hugely rewarding and beneficial for me as a personal kind of pilgrimage, but also to raise money for people in need, it feels really good. I like
clicks.
that. I like doing that. I really like helping people.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. Throughout your career, because you've obviously done a lot of different things.
And they've all been great,
Richard.
Richard. Thank you. Yes.
I was actually just about to ask you, what's been the craziest one?
Oh, God.
Or three, for that matter.
I've done so many crazy things. Like, I'm one of those people that I've had extraordinary experiences. A lot of people's bucket lists, I've ticked a lot of them.
Yeah.
I've swum with sharks. I've jumped out of an aeroplane. I've been in the Red Bull plane. I've done all these crazy physical things. But I think probably the most full-on one would be SAS Australia, the TV show.
Yeah.
Because it's, for anybody who doesn't know, SAS Australia is a reality television show that was really real, but it was based on Special Forces selection for the SAS.
Yep.
And it's 2 weeks of absolute brutality. It was so hard.
So it is really hard. It's not like that you're retiring back to a five-star hotel at the end of the night.
No way. No way. You're constant high alert. It's physically and mentally very testing. And I think it's actually more of a mental accomplishment than it is a physical accomplishment. But it's very much about, and this is what the kind of lesson I took, is mind over matter.
Yeah.
You can control your body with your mind, and if you can also get your body to control your mind. It's like it's a two-way street. So within 24 hours of starting on SAS Australia, in the first 3 hours, I had one broken rib, and the next day I broke a second rib. So I had fractured ribs within the first 24 hours, and I went 14 days with not even a Panadol, nothing. They give you nothing at all.
Okay.
So
Apart from breaking your ribs, can you paint a picture of what it looked like there for you?
Well, we're down near the Snowy Mountains in a sheep shed, literally staying in, our accommodation was in a sheep shed, sleeping on a cot.
Yeah.
And it was most nights sub-zero. It was freezing cold all the time. You're constantly battling the cold to the point where your fingers would be so cold and so broken down from constant attrition and exposure to elements into physicality that you literally couldn't do up your own fly if you went to the toilet. It was that hard. So it was amazing, like being in a position where you are like a helpless child, where you can literally not do up your own pants, but then all of a sudden you're abseiling off a helicopter plinth. It's insane. So it was a very, very brutal environment.
That sounds like it's way out of your comfort zone. Like
Oh,
way
yeah.
out of most people's comfort zone.
Yeah, it's so far away from my couch, I can't even tell you. Like, if you've ever been to my couch and watched football, I can tell you it's very different to SAS. Very different.
What other challenges did you face there?
In
In terms of tasks given to you by the
Oh, you
SAS
do
team?
you do lots of things. You know, you climb mountains and I jumped out of a helicopter into a lake not once but twice, into a freezing cold lake. It got hypothermia. You go through, like I said, really brutal stuff. Mitchell Johnson, a terrific guy, Australian cricketer. He was the guy who broke my rib in the first 30
Thanks,
seconds
Mitch.
of a boxing match.
Yep.
He's a great guy, brutal. And I thought I had his number until he broke my rib, and I went, no, I reckon Mitchell's better than me. But there's that, but I think the physical aspects are probably the most obvious ones, but it's the mental strength that you need to get through 14 days of that. It's what's upstairs, and it's the ability to It's the ability to suffer, to just understand what suffering is, understand that in that moment you are suffering deeply, physically and mentally, and being okay with it.
And so you finished up winning that series, is that right?
Yes.
Okay. So
Yes.
what
Myself and two others. There's the Badger, the Honey Badger, Nick Cummings, and Sabrina Frederick, who plays AFLW for Collingwood.
Okay.
Great people, wonderful people.
And so what I'm hearing you say is that it's really about mental toughness to get through that.
Yeah, it is, because your body will take you so far, but your mind will take you further. It's the whole thing of like, when people go, oh, I gave it 100%, you just go, you didn't. You've always got another 10, 20%. And when I thought I was giving 100%, I realised that there's actually more. There's like 110. There is more.
Deeper.
Yeah. You realise that what you think is 100% is actually probably only about 80% of your capacity.
Yep.
And you just got to learn to push through that and pass that.
Yeah.
And that unfortunately involves suffering.
Pain and suffering.
Yeah, which is what the entertainment industry has taught me. Suffering. It's so
We've circled back. So just looking over your career, what would be the one lesson that you wished you'd learned earlier?
Oh, I think humility.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't reckon I learned humility the hard way, from Hard Knocks both through entertainment and by the time I got on SAS Australia, I reckon I had a really good level of humility. But what that taught me was how to utilise humility better and think more towards others than just myself.
Yeah, so humility, compassion.
Yeah. And thoughtfulness for others. I think it was because that environment, you realise that you will only go so far on your own. You need other people, right? In that environment and externally, you need other people. You need good work friends. You need good relationships. You need more than just your own self. Yep. Whereas I reckon I went for a good part of my career just thinking just me and what I do is more than enough, and it's just not. Yep. And I think having the humility piece of understanding how important good people are around you helps you grow and evolve. Otherwise, you just stay stagnant.
Yeah, okay, that's awesome.
Yeah,
I like it.
That's a surprise to you that I'm saying smart things. This happens a lot.
I just want to say, Merrick, I've learned a lot today. That's all. I'm just putting it out there.
I've learned nothing. I've been here for like an hour. I've learned nothing. No, that's not true. That's not true.
We've talked about SAS Australia. We've talked about a bit of your other business work with your your drink that you've brought out. Tell us about your wine journey.
Yep.
Because that's an interesting one, combined with everything else that you have going on.
Like everything I do, I like to combine my passions, right? So I'm not one thing or another. I'm a polymath. So I have lots of qualifications in lots of different things. So I'm a qualified wine expert. But that came about from passion. And same with Posca. If I'm passionate about something, I'm all in. I don't do things by halves. I do everything at 110%.
So is that a passion for drinking or?
No, it's not. It's because I actually don't drink very much. So I'm not a big drinker as much as I do love wine, but I also understand that it's a dance with the devil. So it's got to be about imbalance, right?
Yeah.
So I wouldn't be able to do a marathon or do Kokoda if I was just sitting around drinking every day. It's never going to happen.
Yeah.
So what I am a big believer of is not living in the polarity of life, like saying, I don't drink at all, or I drink as much as I like. I think, well, the best thing to do is to live in the grey, live in the middle zone there, right? So, because otherwise you're putting restrictions and limitations on yourself at either end of those things. What you want to do is kind of live in the middle. So it's not about drinking, it's not about alcohol, it's very much about the incredible nuances of wine. Wine is never ending. You can never, ever, ever learn everything about wine. It will never, ever stop. It's constantly evolving and changing and learning vintage to vintage, and it's so nuanced, and it takes an incredible amount of brain power to judge wine. Sometimes I judge at wine shows, and to judge at a wine show, I'm so focused that by the end of the day, the last thing I think about wanting to do is drink alcohol. What I want to do is drink water and go to sleep because I'm exhausted.
And so, just for builders who are listening to this, it's probably a good opportunity to ask, what are a couple of drops that you can recommend, be it maybe one red, one white?
Yes, absolutely.
That will always be a winner at the dinner table.
Oh, I'd say absolutely. Fruit Alexia. I don't know if you've ever had it. It's delicious. It's delicious.
Boys, do not buy Fruit Alexia.
Buy it in a box. Look, I think wine that's the other thing I love about wine is it's so subjective.
Yeah,
You can get 6 wine judges around a table and very rarely will they all agree.
Yeah.
It's almost,
So how do you judge it?
it's about the structural elements of a wine, taking those into account. So the flavour is one structural element. So it's things like tannin and acid and the ripeness of the fruit. There's lots of things to consider. But I think for people, it's like, try new things. That's the best thing with wine. Try things. Go. Don't lock yourself out to a grape variety. Try new things. If you go, I don't drink white wine, try it, fellas. The best advice I could give to tradies right now is drink rosé. That stuff is amazing. Rosé is brilliant. Rosé is so good. Drink rosé. Spartan warriors used to drink rosé. They love the stuff. No one's giving them a hard time. No one's saying they weren't masculine enough. Fellas,
folks, you've heard it from the gladiator himself.
get around
Drink
rosé.
Rosé.
Yeah, not on the job though. Not on the job unless your job is like my job and not a real job, and then you can.
I've got to say, even just your wine journey, it's a testament to you as a person, I think, being that you never want to stop learning. You're always open to something new, and you're forever evolving in your business, spiritual, and your own personal journey. So
Yeah.
So, Merrick, if people want to find out more about,
Posca
all your
Hydrate?
adventures
Yeah,
and
go-
Posca Hydrate?
Yeah, have a look at Posca Hydrate. We're on Instagram. Merrick Watts on Instagram. And if you're interested in wine, run a company with a group of friends called Grapes of Mirth as well, and we do wine events. And so, just find me. Just get out there. Just Google Merrick. Have a look at images of me. Print those images off. Put those images on a wall in your house. Frame them. Make them look great.
it's been a pleasure having you on.
I'm an enigma, wrapped inside an enigma. I don't know, that sounded good in my own mind when I was about to say it. And then when I said it, I went, you just sound like a tool.
Great to have you on, Merrick.
Thank you, gentlemen. All the best.
Pleasure. Thank
Cheers.
you. So today we have our first designer coming on. It's Paige from Oasis Building Group. Paige, welcome.
Thanks so much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
So look, it's really good when we're talking about having an integration, a true integration of design and build, because I think as you touched on, mate, when you've sometimes got these two silos that occur in the industry, and rightly or wrongly, but it sounds like you guys are doing something that's a little bit different in that I understand that you're the lead designer and you're also the operations manager for Oasis. So you've got this combination in your role that gives Oasis a very unique approach to it. Are you okay just to talk a little bit about that and give us some
Absolutely.
background?
Yeah, so I started my studies in architectural drafting and interior design after initially attempting civil engineering. So I naturally found myself in design, and that's what really laid my love for the residential construction industry.
Yeah.
So my partner is a carpenter by trade. So we met, I was in the design world, he was in the carpentry business. And he then decided he wanted to become a registered builder. So that's when Oasis Building Group was formed.
So you went from being a civil engineer through to being an architect?
Essentially, yes, yeah. So I've always loved design. So I started off in civil engineering after my uncle and grandfather had followed that pathway.
Yep.
But 4 weeks into the course, I soon realised that my heart was in design. So that's ultimately where I ended up.
Yep.
But since starting the business, my role has evolved. So starting in design and drafting naturally, I've evolved into sales, estimating, project management, budgets, financing, and now that leads me into my operations role.
So did you go to uni to do architecture, or how did that look for
So
you?
I went and studied my advanced diploma of building design,
Yep.
and I also studied my interior design course. I began studying architecture, and then
Yep.
the business took off. So I've put those studies on hold while we focus on the business. And we launched the business in COVID. So
How did that look for you, launching it in COVID?
Launching in COVID, look, to be honest, it's a blessing because it's all we ever knew.
Yeah.
We weren't
Yeah.
set in our ways. It was always pivoting and evolving. And I think, it was a tough time, but I think it was a blessing because we learnt the hard way and learnt by diving in.
So it sounds like it was really a case of the only way was up.
Literally,
And so because it was, you're right, absolutely right. Back then, it was weird. It was a weird time, and so everybody had to pedal really hard to make it work. And so what does the business look like now? So if you're playing wearing so many different hats, which is completely understandable because that happens in the building in the building business.
Yeah.
What does that look like for you guys if you're playing the role of an operations manager and the lead design?
Yeah.
I imagine that there would be a stronger connect between the design and what's executed on site in the final outcome. So can you just step us through how that relates to the final outcome of the product, but also how does it go, for example, if you go onto site and you speak with the guys about, the particular finish of the tiles in the bathroom or whatever it may be.
Yeah.
Because it sounds to me like it's a more integrated model. So can you just talk through that?
It definitely is an integrated model, and it's one that we've started right from the get-go. So essentially, we would meet with the clients early on, and we would start the design process there. So listening to what the client's after and resulting in a design. And then essentially doing the design in-house allows us to eliminate any on-site construction issues. So we take the clients all the way through design to working drawings to colour selection. So we can, foresee any issues with thicknesses of flooring and making sure that they're rebated into the slab. And that's a benefit that we see to our model. That follows through to on-site as well. So we do walk-ins at every stage of the build with our supervisors. So
by walk-ins, you mean you bring the client in?
Bring the client in, yeah.
Yep.
So electrical walk-ins, walkthroughs. If they want to add extra power points in any rooms, we make sure that that's accommodated on site. But essentially, we do like to make sure that everything's captured in the design stage as well. So spending that time, whether it takes an extra few weeks to make sure the design's right before it goes on site, that's what our model is focused on.
Typically speaking, builders go out and they'll start building homes and they'll encounter all these issues where they realise, okay, we need to bring the clients in more, we need to bring the architect in more. You guys have adopted this strategy where you and both your partner are there from the very beginning.
Yeah.
Has that really set you apart from other builders in your area?
I think so. It allows us to, again, alleviate any issues that may occur on site, but it also allows the clients to know that the design and builder are talking.
Yeah.
So it allows us to navigate any potential budget constraints as well. So making sure that the design isn't over the top, that it can't actually be constructed, or it's just, navigating the client's budget as well in the design stage. So I think it works really well, and it definitely does set us apart.
Does it build an element of trust, you think, between yourself and the client?
Definitely, and a sense of joy and pride as well from the client. They really feel invested in the design, and they know that they know at the end of the day what product they're getting because we've taken them through the design.
And what about when you meet with clients? I mean, no doubt the design trends keep on evolving in terms of what clients want and what they expect, what they see on TV or on socials or whatever it may be. What are some of the trends that you're seeing in terms of the design, not just the design trend, but also the way that people are living?
For sure. Look, design-wise, we're definitely seeing a shift towards a calm, earthy, moody palette with natural materials and texture layering as well. Yep. So kitchens are leading the way, and we're seeing timber kitchens, so anything from light oak to rich walnut cabinetry, stone look bench tops or natural stone products.
And is that solid timber that you're using?
Solid timber, usually like a melamine product that's layered, but there's lots of different joinery options, and we have done timber as well before. Yeah. Essentially, another aspect that is a design trend at the moment, tiles are getting playful again, which I'm loving. Yeah. Okay. We're seeing anything from checkerboard prints to mosaic tiles, pattern flooring that are becoming focal points in bathrooms and laundries. Another aspect of the design trend is our lime wash interiors. So lime wash finishes on internal walls and fireplaces. They're bringing a soft, curated, lived-in feel through the clients.
What does that mean, lime washed?
Lime wash, so it's like a textured finish. It's like, a concrete finish. Okay. Usually in a browner tone, we're seeing lots of burgundy and brown. But instead of a flat plastered finish, we're seeing a lot more texture. So texture can be used in the form of timber, but also like a ribbled effect and a ribbed effect on walls.
So is that like painted on?
Painted on, yeah. So it's painted on. We're also seeing micro cement as well. So that's, a waterproof product of the lime wash. So it's just adding a little bit more body and texture to the walls rather than stark white plaster on the walls.
Yeah. And that maintains affordability, I imagine, as well.
It does. In some areas it does, and it's usually placed on plaster as well. So
As opposed to going and doing precast concrete walls or whatever.
Of course, yeah,
It's far
potentially.
cheaper.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
I just want to go back to something that Owen mentioned before about the upside of engaging designers throughout the process. When you think about builders who are listening to this podcast, what are the advantages for builders to get deeper and get more involved in the design, or not get more involved, but sorry, to engage a designer in those early stages, in supporting them to bring the client on board? So what's the upside there that they can tap into?
Look, I actually think that the design is the most important part of the build. I think if that can be done right, then everything else flows. We often say to our clients that building is the easy part because the design takes time and just making sure that clients are happy with what they're getting. But for all builders out there, I definitely think it's worth engaging designers early in the process, not only like architectural drafting, but also interior designers as well, to make sure that PowerPoints are in the right position, lighting is considered.
I'm wondering, could a design person actually play the role of a salesperson?
Absolutely. In our case, it
That's it.
did.
So that is the model.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you're at the forefront of the design and the sales.
And the sales,
Yeah,
So it's always been that way, and that's the way we like it, because in our sales process, what sets us apart is we genuinely listen to the client. And it sounds so simple, but it is so important. If you listen to the client, understand what they're after, rather than just, I guess, throwing them a design that doesn't speak to their needs now or in the future. So I think having the design, having the clients feel heard. A lot of the time building is, the biggest investment of a client's lives. They're spending their life savings on a home. So to not have it designed right and designed well, I think is a mistake.
What have you picked up recently in like the changes with the NCC, different things coming into play now? What have you noticed in the design world?
Look, in the design world, I think it's important to always be on your toes, always be researching and finding out what the next, I guess, trends are, but also, what the changes are to the NCC as well. I guess we dealt with the stone changes, the silica project, so it was just thinking on your toes and, I guess, informing clients as well, and getting them in to, I guess, make any design pre-selections if required.
So particularly where materials are very expensive and we're having to put more in to achieve a certain star rating.
Yeah.
How does that look for you as a designer?
Designer, it's tough, and that's probably one of the challenges is navigating the boundary between budgets, client expectations, and education as well. I think it does come down to education, and I guess in the design stage as well. So if a client comes to us with a list a mile long of what they would like included, then typically we look to the size of the home, and maybe it's shrinking the size or creating a more multifunctional space. So, a study that could turn into a bedroom or vice versa.
Yeah. And so this is the beauty of actually having a designer involved in the early stages of the process, because you're actually saying, okay, the client's got a wish list of 20 items. They've got a budget of X amount. How do we actually marry those two together with the design?
Absolutely.
So it sounds like that's just a standard process that you go through.
It is. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I've heard a rumour that you guys have won an award. Are you able to tell us what the award was?
Absolutely. So last year we were fortunate enough to win the 2024 Display Home of the Year in the Victoria region.
Awesome.
So it was in the category of 500 to 600,000. And we were very fortunate. It was a pinch me moment. It was our first display to ever be entered and to ever be constructed. So it was our first display in a builder's village. To win this award and to be recognised on a state level was again a pinch me moment.
That's awesome. So I imagine that got a real splash on the socials.
It definitely did, and it also got a big splash across our showroom window. We put decals up the very week that we won. So in this, we had stickers up. We also hosted a trade recognition night. So we actually invited all of our trade suppliers, consultants, friends and families, and we all got to visit the display. And it really lifted the on-site morale. Our trades they take a lot of pride in their work, so to be recognised for this achievement was great.
Do you guys have like a trademark signature look that you go for?
I guess so. In this display we had curved walls. So curved walls, it was very new at the time. We also, I guess, we played on the name Oasis in this display, and we actually had a courtyard. So we had a hidden courtyard. It was concealed in the main living area, and essentially it was a garden oasis. So the word oasis essentially for us means that your home should be an oasis. There should be a sanctuary that you're comfortable in and you're safe in. So I guess, courtyards and curved walls.
So I've noticed with some of your projects, I had a look on your socials, everything's very clean, it's minimalistic, sophisticated yet simple.
Absolutely, yeah, and I guess that's possibly a personal favourite and trend of mine, and my partner's as well. So I guess we do like clean lines, modern finishes.
Is it something you just stumbled into, or you noticed a gap in the market and you stepped into that gap?
We definitely noticed a gap in the market for custom medium to high-end builds in our particular region. So that's, I guess, where we noticed this gap in the market and went for it.
Has that been received well in terms, because not many people do spec homes like that? That look like that. How have people received it? Do they want you to do more?
Look, we definitely, a lot of people love the display. We're fortunate enough to get people through on weekends and they do love it. A lot of the time though, this was a custom home. So it was custom design. We never built it before. So it was a bit of a risk. The display was actually designed for a display. So where you would usually see a door hiding the ensuite from a master bedroom, we actually designed it to be a display home. So we made it for, I guess, accessibility, walking through the display. So we didn't design it to appeal to most people, which is, I guess, a consumer, maybe something different that they haven't seen in a builder's village before. They walk in and they'll see the design and they'll love it and they'll want to build it. Ours, we believe in custom home building. We believe in orientation and ensuring that the design is right for the clients. So having this display home designed to be a display home is, I guess, something a little bit different and a new way of thinking.
So Paige, with innovative building techniques, I've heard a rumour that you guys are also beginning to delve into some new technology. Are you okay to give us a little bit of a sneak insight on what that's about?
Absolutely, I'd love to. So essentially we've always been interested in innovation. Construction as we know it really hasn't changed much since the nail gun, I guess you could say. So we've always been passionate about finding new ways to adopt technology to everyday site. So that's where we have invested in 3D concrete printing technology. It's widely used across Europe and Americas as well.
So you've actually bought a machine that can do a 3D print of a house that someone can live in?
Absolutely, we
Just
have.
to clarify, this isn't a model scale, right?
This is not a model, and although we do have a model as well, we've had that for a while, so we've been printing designs for clients on a smaller model. This printer is a large-scale printer that can print a full home.
Wow. And so, okay, I'm just thinking through that.
It's a lot to take in.
One, it would be a really fast build. Have you got the machine yet, or it's on order?
No, we do have the machine. So the machine is out of factory in Ballarat. So we've been printing retaining walls and garden beds and model homes as well.
Awesome.
So it's not limited to a home. You can actually make landscaping features and whatever.
It's limited to your imagination, really. So landscaping features, residential construction, but also commercial construction, infrastructure. So the possibilities are as limited as your imagination.
Huge. That's a whole new market that you've got there. That's awesome.
So does it print it out of concrete?
It does print it out of concrete, yeah. So it's concrete layered, and through a batching plant, so an on-site concrete batching.
Did you buy one as well?
Yes.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, seriously?
It's a more as a smaller batching plant. On site. So it's paired with the printer.
So the benefits to not just to the builder but to the consumer would be, I imagine, it's much faster to build. Is it more cost effective, or what's the upside for the consumer?
Yeah, so we definitely are anticipating a cost saving. So the reason why we invested in it is because we saw it as an opportunity for affordable housing.
Yep.
So affordable housing at scale, potentially bringing construction timelines down by months, if not chopped in half.
Yeah, absolutely.
So would you say you're moving away from the custom end of things, where you're more bound by a set of plans?
Look, not necessarily, because the way the printer works is it's all in code. So whatever you design and you feed into the machine, that's what it will print. So certainly for some areas, having a set design might be a great idea. But definitely, it's separate to Oasis. So we've got the two companies now. Different positives of both.
How do you go about running water in your electrical lines?
Yeah, this is a question that we get asked a lot. So essentially, all the piping and electrical is run on site during the print. So the print is printed in layers per day, so up to a metre per day per print. So essentially it is conduits, but also there's a cavity within the walls that allows,
I reckon this is a whole podcast to itself. I reckon we need to do a whole episode just on this. I reckon that's an awesome subject.
I agree. I'm full of more questions than answers.
That's great.
That would be great, yeah.
Excellent. Thank you for coming on Made to Build. It's been really a plus just to hear about the way that you guys approach it. So actually truly marrying design and operations together, which is not an easy thing to do. It's quite a difficult thing for a builder or a building company or a D&C company to do. So thank you for that. How can people reach out to you if they want to get in touch?
We have social media, so in Instagram at Oasis Build.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
All right, so Owen, we've got a great guest on next, Dean O'Rourke, who's the Executive General Manager at ABN Group. Dean, thanks for joining us. Not only are you the Executive Director or Executive General Manager at ABN, but you're also newly appointed to the HIA National Board. Congratulations.
No, thank you very much. Very proud moment. Considering my journey started with HIA way back in the day.
Okay. How way back in the day?
Well, I got my apprenticeship there. So started my apprenticeship in 1989, 1990. Interest rates in WA were 16, 17, 18% at that point in time. Everyone was trying to hold on to their jobs, and I got a job with a builder. The builder sort of went into administration, so I didn't get to start. Threw my resume out again, and HA picked me up in one of the first group training scheme roles they had there in WA. So it's been a long association. I look at this pencil on the table and I go, it's pretty cool because I remember using those a hell of a lot back in the day.
So tell us a bit more about that journey. So you started off there, and obviously you've gone through the industry and developed a wealth of experience.
Yeah, look, it's a great industry. I've been really fortunate. I got my apprenticeship. HA were a fantastic organisation. They were early in the scheme of setting it up, and at the same time, I was fortunate enough to land in what is now known as the ABN Group. So I've been with HIA and been with the ABN Group over 30 years, 35 years, and taken plenty of the opportunities. I've worked hard. I think you stay dedicated, committed in what you're doing, and I've kept learning, growing, and trying new things. And I think this industry is one of those places where the harder you work, it pays off. It pays you back in spades. So I moved into Dale Alcock Homes and did my apprenticeship, which is part of the group. And then at the end of my apprenticeship, decided to make the transition from site to office. So I always probably had the aspiration to want to be a builder and do my own thing. And funny enough, never did it, but that was the aspiration because I've had so many opportunities here at ABN that I've stuck by it, and it's been very rewarding. And I then made the role transition into the office. I did estimating. I then moved into site management, construction management, building management, moved into a general manager role, and then in the last sort of decade, I've been an executive general manager responsible for the residential building companies that we have within our brand, which people in WA would be familiar with, but brands called Home Buyers Centre, Celebration Homes, Dale Alcock Homes, and Webb and Brown Neves.
So how'd you go from being an apprentice to being in the ABN Group?
Really, it was being an apprentice at HA, they host you out. So you're employed by HA, but they host you to a building company, and I was really fortunate to land in the very early stages of what is now the ABN Group, which is a $1.8 million turnover.
Yeah.
$1 billion turnover.
So that's a huge business though in Australia in the construction space. So can you just tell us a little bit about the structure of that and what it looks like? So it's comprised of a variety of different subsidiaries, or how does that work?
Yeah, look, we're strong sort of independent building companies that are targeting different parts of the market. Okay. So they have slight crossover. So they are hunting and gathering and fighting each other on the fringes of the customers that they're trying to sell to. But we sort of in the first home buyer market with Home Buyers Centre. We're in affordable family homes with celebration homes. Dale Alcock Homes is an aspirational family home, and then Webb and Brown Neves is that very aspirational 2-story, beautiful looking customised home. So, yeah, we've sort of covered the markets that we want to play
from
in.
top to bottom.
And then in Victoria, very similar. We've got 2 brands in Home Buyers Centre and Boutique, and they sort of cover the same market segment, but just in 2 brands.
So did you buy into the ABN group, or how does that?
No, I wish that would have been pretty cool. But no, look, just been a very long-serving and loyal employee that's had plenty of opportunities. And
So you worked your way through the ranks to where you
Correct.
are now as a partner. Is that
yeah,
correct?
no, not a partner. No, I'm just the executive general manager employee, and yeah, I'm responsible for roughly 500-600 employees in WA, and we have 140 apprentices
Yep.
employed with us as well, which is great. We're a GTO as well, like HIA, and got a lot of young men and women that are working for us and trying to make their own path in the industry.
So did you guys have like all of those companies there initially, or have
No.
you accumulated more?
Just grown and started them up, yeah. So other than Victoria, the one here we did buy into 15 years or so ago.
Yep.
But all the rest of them we started up.
Okay, so
from
they
fresh.
started from
fresh.
scratch, and
Started from
the only
fresh.
one that was
found a
acquired.
target, found a piece of the market that wasn't getting looked after, and filled it with the appropriate brand that fits the market demand.
What a lot of builders might be wondering is how do you manage so many supervisors, tradespeople, subcontractors even?
Yeah, look, you have really good, strong operating models. Like you have a good management structure, you've got some good governance, you've got some good oversight, a lot of quality control. I mean, it's all about really the 5 buckets of quality, safety, compliance, customer. I mean, customer is a big one that gets forgotten about in a lot of the cases. So, yeah, there's sort of the buckets that we will continue to focus on a regular basis, and your structure of your business is around those key areas.
Well, just with growing a business to that sort of scale, you'd have to be very your systems would have to be very, very robust. So can you just step us through your approach to that?
Yeah, look, it is. You've got to have all the checks and balances in place, and making sure that your staff are inducted and onboarded and I suppose to a point conditioned in regards to what your system and process is. So we have a few academies within our organisation. We have a construction academy, we have a sales academy, we have a construction estimating academy where you're onboarded really well. So you get to learn the process, the system, what to do, what not to do, good checklists. We've
So is
got
that
good
for the
training.
guy? Is that for the guy who's been doing it for 4 years or 30 years?
100%.
Okay.
Yeah, 100%.
That's
We probably don't get into doing a lot of RPL. I mean, we don't
RPL?
recognise prior learning. Like if someone's got 20 years experience, we won't try and tell them how to suck eggs.
Yeah.
And I think the challenge the industry has a lot nowadays is that you still need good builders, but everything is such a tech drive and tech evolution. You might be a good builder, but tech and administration's not your thing. So you might find we bring someone on with 20 years experience, you're going to spend time with them on the iPad, the laptop, the system, the checklist, the technology, because they can build, but then you're going to have the other half where they might have come out of the office and they don't have the build skills, so you're training them in what's good in brickwork, roof carpentry, plastering, all the checklists and specifications.
So how do you do that in the situation where you've got somebody who's a really robust technical skill set on site, but they're missing the tech side or the new tech side of it?
Yeah.
How do you scaffold those people to actually support them so that they can learn?
100%. We've got really good systems in play where you need both. It's like a footy side. You're not going to win with a whole bunch of senior players, and you're not going to win with a whole lot of rookies. You've got to have a balanced approach, and we've got to have the right builders in the right segment of the market.
Yep.
The higher the market, the bigger the spend, the more complexity. So we make sure we've got the right capability in the right area. And when we need to replace those people, we bring them in, but we'll make sure that we get around them, surround them, share time with them, and make sure that we've got some modules, a lot of online modules that they complete when they arrive to make sure that they've got it on board.
Are you only able to do that due to being such a large company? Because a small guy wouldn't be able to do that and invest
I think
weeks
it's all
and weeks
relative.
of training.
I think it's all relative. I think you just have it at a scale that is appropriate. I mean, the days of just throwing a set of keys and a set of files to a site manager and going, here you go, with the stuff that's required in quality, compliance, safety, productivity, you just can't do that anymore. You're setting yourself up for failure, to be honest.
So in preliminary stages for a smaller scale builder, how would you suggest they approach upscaling like how you have?
Yeah, look, I think it's getting your structures and your framework and your timing right. I think depending on the marketplace, those rapid rises can happen too quick and you don't have those fundamental and disciplines and structures set. I think you just got to hold your nerve and get the structures right, get fundamentals right, hold your nerve, and then grow with when it is appropriate, and that you feel confident enough that you've got a good structure around you.
So
and
would you say,
capable people.
don't take on that job, allow yourself a few weeks to set your structures in place, have a checklist that you can present to a new supervisor who can then take that and you can teach that to them and then they can run with it? Is that
Makes
your take
sense,
on
eh?
it?
Makes sense. Like, would you do it any other way? Probably not. And we have,
Yeah.
for many years in the decades gone past, we have. You've just sort of thrown salespeople's the display home keys and gone, there you go and sell. And you've got a site manager who come in and go, here's the car and here's some files and go and build.
It's like the blunt axe versus sharp axe analogy.
Yeah.
You've got to keep your tools sharp, all your tools. And they've got to be really trained. And the future world is data, and the quality of the data and what you can capture. So everyone needs to have a tech capability and an understanding of what they're entering in the system so that you can capture trends and that you can input systems or have make appropriate decisions down the track from your data.
On tech and systems, have you guys adopted anything?
Yeah, look, it's been ongoing. You can't stop in that space. It's just a revolving door. So we're in a very exciting stage at the moment at ABN where we're making significant investment in technology, and we're about to do some wholesale change within our organisation, which we've announced to our business, and they're very excited about. So,
Without giving anything away that's confidential, what sort of initiatives do they include?
We're looking at drawing packages. We're looking at whole ecosystem. We're looking at what our data can give us, what we want to capture. I'd like to see us as a close follower in AI. I think it's going to be a big part of business. I'm not sure you're going to have the dollars to stay as a pioneer, but you need to be definitely a close follower on it. So I've done 3 or 4 AI programs in the last 12 months because I didn't want to be scared of it. I wanted to stay up to speed. And I think any builder listening, I think around the association, HIA or any other way, you've just got to keep up to speed nowadays. Like, things are moving so fast, and AI is one of those, and I don't think you can be scared of it.
I think one of the things that I think one of the things that I've heard about AI is that it's for builders especially. It's not like AI is going to replace the builder, but it will be somebody who's using AI that will replace the builder.
Yeah.
So it's really a case of builders who can adopt AI and technology and feel comfortable with it and let it absorb that information. They're probably going to have a better skill set or a better tool suite than those who don't.
Yeah, look, we've had a lot of data for so long. We just haven't really had the tools to use it. Now you've got AI coming along that's just going to take away the mundane, the monotonous, and allow growth. It's just going to allow you to grow and get rid of the stuff that is just not high return on value, because AI can help you with it. And I think that's the key. So I think initially AI was probably set up in a way it's going to reduce this, reduce that, reduce FTEs, reduce employees. No, it's going to be a very augmented approach. It'll be human and AI that's going to really go forward.
Given that it's largely a service-based industry, where do you draw the line in that? Because someone coming to you with $4 million to build them their forever home, they might not want an AI-generated drawing. They might want an architect to sit down with them and draw every single thing, whether it's the kitchen cupboard door or the roof. So where do you draw the line in sand?
Yeah, look, it's a really good question. As I said right at the start, I think we forget at times around the CX, the customer experience. And it's the biggest purchase of their life, and it's probably the most anxious thing they ever do.
Yeah.
And as an industry, we need to be able to bring that back and really find ourselves more and more efficient and make it as simple and anxiety-free as we can. So I don't think we want to create stress with AI. You can't do that. It's stressful enough anyway. The only way you would do it is if it's going to reduce the stress, streamline the process, remove mistakes, remove errors, and make it more seamless. Because at the end of the day, it's taking us all too long to build. It's a long process. Our biggest competitor is the existing market, existing homes. I call old homes. If you want to buy an old home, buy an old home. But the customers can, so they've got an option, right? Buy an old home or buy with us, buy a new home. We've got to be as efficient and as affordable as we can, and we have to increase our efficiencies as an industry. We've had too many builders go into administration and bankruptcy because of inefficiencies. So I think it's a trade-off between keeping the customer happy, but then making sure the businesses are sustainable for the future.
So just talking about AI in particular, because I can tell you've got a real passion for technology, which makes absolute sense, because if you
driving a $1.8 billion company, you need to have systems and technology in place that's going to deliver. And obviously the next frontier for this kind of thing is along the lines of AI. A lot of the AI that I've seen, particularly, say, for example, at the International Builders Show, which was earlier in the year in Las Vegas, they would talk about AI technology, but a lot of it had to be that augmentation whereby there was a human actually inputting the data to actually make it work and make it more successful. So I think there's a natural connection between the customer, the employee, and whatever technology sits behind them. At the moment, it seems as though it's almost impossible for that AI to progress without that human being there. Do you see a time in the future whereby the human doesn't need to be involved and the client can tap into it?
No, I don't. I don't see that. No, the courses I've done, I think it's been a complete shift the other way, where it's going to be a joint responsibility if AI has responsibilities. But look, it hasn't got. It doesn't have empathy. It doesn't have critical thinking. It's as good as what is being inputted by us, by ourselves. So I think the more accurate the data, it's got the smarts to remove, like I said, the mundane monotony. And if we can reduce our errors and the mistakes and omissions on what we do and how we do it, we're just improving the customer experience. Yep. And it'll be more affordable. It'll be more affordable and we'll sell more homes. So the faster, more efficient, stress-free the build process is, people will be more and more attracted to our industry to build a new home. And we will also attract a new cohort of workers that are going to be excited to join the industry. So, there's a bit of work to do there. And I think we can't shy away from it. We don't want to be afraid of it. I just think we need to embrace it, get to know it, understand it, and untap what is appropriate.
You touched on AI assisting and how quickly we build homes. As a new board member, have you recognised any other problems within the industry that you're keen to amend?
Where do I start? I've just spent all day yesterday national policy going, I don't know where to start. We could be...
This
is another whole
top
session.
three, okay?
Yeah,
We'll keep it quick.
Top three.
Top three.
Like I said, we've got to be more and more efficient. We've got to find better, faster ways, enhance the customer experience. NCC changes, 7-star changes, natural disasters are becoming quite an issue with floods and fires, and that's quarantining land. I feel we need to have a true cultural shift in our construction industry around attracting people, attracting women to our industry. There's plenty of opportunity, but we've still got a bit of work there to polish up our industry and shine a little bit brighter to be more attractive. And we've got to change parents' beliefs, deep-seated beliefs about our industry. I'm seeing a shift in WA where parents are more supportive of the industry and that kids are wanting to look at our industry in a favourable manner. So I was told back in the day with my dad was real estate, but he said, get a trade, it's always something you can fall back on. I'm just starting to hear that a little bit again, but I hadn't heard that for 20, 30 years. So I think there's a lot of that, but you could go on and on and on. There's just a heap there. Number 2. That was 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 all in that one hit.
No, that was one pulled into...
Oh, look, it's one of those things we've got to find the priorities in how we shift it. I mean, land availability is critical. Affordability of homes is critical.
So is that at a government level, you think?
100%. I think it's federal, state level. In also each state does things slightly different. I mean, 47% of a new home is a tax fee or levy.
Yeah.
47%. So you think about the cost. So somehow that has to shift and change. I mean, it's not things aren't getting any more cheaper. So land, affordability, workforce.
Yeah. Can I just check with that 47%? Is that in WA or are you talking about Australia-wide?
It ranges from 30% through to 47%. 47% is the worst in New South Wales.
Yeah, okay.
The 47% of a new home in New South Wales, it's like $500,000 or $600,000 is already spent before you've even put a bucket in the ground.
So as a board member, is that something you can take to a federal government?
Yeah, well, look, we've had some good chats around the election recently, and with the landslide Labor side, the association's going to have to, I think all associations are going to have to really step up when there's not a large opposition. There's not an opposition that's really going to be able to push back and hold the government accountable. So I think from a board perspective, we definitely see as an association at a federal level, we need to be in front of the politicians. We need to hold them accountable for all the housing promises. They want to build more homes. They want to make us more efficient. They want to open up more and more resources for us. We need to keep pushing for that and make sure that we can get that so we can assist the industry. And I think that's why members need to be members of HIA, and we need to grow the base. It gives you a bigger voice, bigger influence, bigger presence. And I know when I brought builders into the HIA and WA, they are gobsmacked with what we do behind the scenes. No one understands all the moving parts. And I think one of the biggest criticisms HIA will have is they don't tell enough good news about what they've done and how they're doing it and the battles and the fights they're fighting.
Yep. No, that's good. So you're obviously very passionate about advocacy for the industry and getting the voice of builders heard and getting the voice of even indirectly consumers heard to government.
Yeah, look, I think it's like I said, it's a fantastic industry. We want to build 1.2 million homes over the next sort of 5 years. Things have to be easier. There's nearly, I think it's 2,500, 3,000 builders have gone into administration and bankruptcy over the last 3 years.
Right, okay.
2.5, 3 years. So that's not good. And that upsets the consumer sentiment, and then they think about whether should I buy or should I build. And like I said, we all forget at times that the customer pays us.
Yeah. Just thinking about, say, the next generation of builders. I mean, if you were to speaking to your younger self, and you were thinking about you wanted to become a builder, and what are the skills that would be most important for those builders to learn, and the technologies that they need to embrace? Yeah,
look, I think it's all around those buckets again. Safety is growing at a rapid rate. Needs to. There's always something there that we need to refine and work on. So I think a strong safety awareness and a genuine care for safety, I think is and it's not number 2 or 3 or 4 on the list. It's got to be up there in number 1. Because safety done right, done the first time, it flows on everywhere else. I think productivity is a real key focus. I'd have a really strong business acumen. I'd go and really understand my business. I'd understand how much a white day costs me as a business when nothing's getting produced either in the office or at on site. Yeah. How's that hurting me? What's the cost impact for me? So I think productivity and having a vigilant process and disciplines in flow.
So these are skills that you don't learn in a Cert 4. When
they're
not. Oh, well, you do learn the health and safety, but but a lot of these business skills, they're not taught so much in the Cert 4, are they?
I can't say I've been through the Cert 4 recently myself. A lot of mine sort of learn on the job. But look, I think they're parts, and that's why the programs are offered through HIA and other organisations.
Yeah. And that's probably where you've nailed it on the head with your company structure, being that you guys have all these set in place, like learning programs and different things that you train your people with. Is that really what's up to you guys?
Yeah, we use HIA to fill those gaps. We identify what the gaps are, who needs what, and we won't necessarily go and build it. If it exists and there's training modules or structures, we'll send our people on those programs.
Yeah.
Regularly, our people will be sitting in the HIA building. And I don't think it matters if you're a one-man band or you're an ABN group. Getting into the offices and sitting in through and even online, you've got to keep your tools sharp.
Keep learning.
Keep tools sharp. You've got to keep growing and evolving. Compliance is just beyond anything I've seen in 20 years. How fast it's growing, whether it's tie downs, waterproofing, bushfire attack levels, the rising sea levels, and all the requirements. It's a lot to keep up to speed with, but it's not daunting if you just use what's available to you.
So when you say to builders who are maybe scared by that, just look at what's on the HIA website or observe what's there.
Yeah, it sounds like a plug, but 100%. I've been around this association for many 30 odd years, so I've got nothing but benefits from it.
Awesome. Yeah. Dean, thank you so much for joining us. We wish you, Owen and I both wish you a lot of luck and good wishes on the national board. I hope all goes well.
Thank you.
And mate, really appreciate your time. If people want to reach out to you, what's the best way for them to get in touch?
Yeah, look, I think the LinkedIn profile is probably the best way to go about it. I'm not an overly big user, but if people want to yell out and have a chat, more than happy to.
Yeah, so Dean O'Rourke from the ABN Group.
There you go. Thank you very much.
Pleasure.
Thank you. Thanks for your time.
Cheers, mate. Thanks for joining us on Made to Build, coming to you live from the National Conference of the HIA. We'll see you next time.